Hello, Big Brother fans. It is me, Mike, once again coming to you from Las Vegas. And a few select people that obviously haven't been listening to me are going to get called out on this in the tweet that goes out with this CarCast. I am not in my car. I am in Las Vegas. I will be in Las Vegas until tomorrow, which means that hopefully at some point later tonight, I will be turning on the live feeds and I will also watch the premiere, but not live, because when the live show actually kicks off, when the live premiere kicks off, I will be in my car or in a car driving to take a helicopter ride to the Grand Canyon. So this is my honeymoon. I'm using air quotes because my wife and I renewed our wedding vows with Elvis yesterday at the Graceland Wedding Chapel, and had a wonderful time. It was quite a unique experience, something very surreal, something actually out of a movie. And I think I may talk about that on another CarCast or maybe on my other podcast that's Mike's mostly non-Big Brother podcast that I haven't done anything on for probably over a year. But I may divert people to that if you want to hear about my experience with the King and renewing my wedding vows with my lovely wife. But that's not why you're here. You're here to hear about Big Brother, and I'm here to talk about it. Let's see what to tell you. The show kicks off at 8 o'clock Eastern tonight. That is 5 o'clock Pacific time, which is the time that I'm on right now. And we're going to have, I think it's a 90-minute premiere, and then Love Island has a 90-minute premiere, I believe. I tried to watch Love Island on its first season, and it kind of lost me. It's just not my bag, man. I enjoyed the UK version of Love Island, but the US version just wasn't quite what I wanted. And frankly, I haven't watched the UK version for a while either. So it's interesting, but not my thing. So I will eventually tonight watch the 90-minute live premiere. And then I cannot remember the specific time, but if we go with the assumption that they turn on the live feeds after it airs in the Pacific time zone, so if it kicks off at 8 o'clock, that's 11 p.m. Eastern time. It'll run 90 minutes, so sometime between 12:30 a.m. and 1 p.m. Eastern time is when I would expect the feeds to turn on. I really, frankly, don't think I will be back even then. So I have a feeling I'm going to come back. I'm going to not check the internet. I am going to turn on and watch the live show delayed. I may tweet my reactions in a delayed fashion, and then I will turn on the live feeds at some point tonight and probably stay up quite late, although not too late because, again, did I mention I'm in Vegas and I will be in the same room with my wife. But I've done this before. Big Brother 20, we were actually in Kentucky, at Cumberland, near Cumberland Gap in Kentucky, and I was in a hotel room. But I don't think the live feeds kicked off that night. I think we only watched the premiere, and the feeds didn't kick off till the next day, so we didn't have to worry about that. We were home by that time. I don't know. Should be interesting. We will have the news that came out today that CBS tweeted that it's the biggest cash prize ever. And everyone now is, of course, running around speculating about what do they mean by the biggest cash prize ever. And I tweeted out my thought, which I think Big Brother Network, Matt at Big Brother Networks, kind of agreed. And we just don't know. Look, first of all, don't get your hopes up that it's something really big. If they were going to do $1 million prize this year, they would have already announced it. That would be out there. That would have been newsworthy that they doubled the prize. So my guess is that maybe they will say there's a chance for the winner to get $1 million. But they've got their gambling theme going, right? So probably what they're going to do is give the house guests an opportunity to maybe make a bet. Maybe make a wager that they can do something like, oh, if you do this, you'll win, double your amount, or you can bet up to twice the amount of the prize. And if you win it all, you get it. You've got to do some kind of a wager, a risk thing that I can't see them cutting into their I mean, how much could they lose? They're going to make, each house guest makes, well, we don't know. I don't know the exact number currently, but I would guess approximately $2,000 a week. It used to be like $1,500. So let's pretend it's $1,500 a week that they get while they're in the house. Now, last year or the year before, I think it was the year before, they changed the payout for making it to the jury. So if you made the jury round where you got to the top 10, is it? Whatever the number is, that you got more if you stayed in the house a little bit longer. So it was not I just want to make jury. Well, the second you're out, you stop earning the same amount of money. You still might get the $1,500, but the people that stay in longer get a little bit more. So it behooves people to try to stay in the house a little bit longer, which was a smart move on their part and something that we'd been screaming that they should do several times, several years before. But they did do it a couple of years ago. But as I said, my guess is something like you can be nominated this week. If you choose to be nominated this week, like there'll be no head of household this week. I'm throwing this out here, and this is nothing like it, but let's say this is an idea. Julie announces there will be no head of household this week. Or maybe they tell people, if you volunteer to be nominated this week, then you can double your prize money if you win it all. And then they basically poll each house guest, and as long as at least 2 people say they will do it, which I'm guessing more than that would, then Julie announces, guess what? Some of you volunteered to be nominated, so there will be no head of household, and these 3 or these 4 or these 6 or these 10 people are all nominated this week. That could be a way it could go. I'm just trying to throw out possibilities. And obviously these are things that are thought about long and hard, and they think of the pros and the cons, and they role play it and they figure it out. So they poke holes in it, hopefully. So that may not be the one. That's just the one that just popped into my head right now, because if you have a head of household, they got to be able to nominate people, unless they say the head of household is just immunity, but you have to guarantee at least a couple of people volunteer, right? So how do you do that? Perhaps you do a poll and say, if you had the opportunity to be nominated this week, and know that you would double the amount you could win, would you do it? See if you can put a target on your back that way. But remember, of course, that puts a target on the back of people. They're like, oh, that person's got the chance at winning double the amount. It shouldn't make a difference, actually, because you're not taking money away from anybody else. It's just your stakes are higher than everybody else's. But what difference does that make in the end? The house guests are not giving away their money. They're just voting for someone. All right, I'm talking myself into circles and down a rabbit hole. So let's get out of that rabbit hole. What else to tell you? Because this is going to be the last time I talk to you guys probably until sometime tomorrow. If I even talk to you sometime tomorrow, we'll have to see. Tomorrow's my flight back to Indiana, and our flight doesn't get in until the evening, and then we'll have to drive home. And yes, so it could be quite a late night for me tomorrow. So I don't know if I will talk to you tomorrow. We'll see. If I can find a few minutes where I can break away, I definitely will. Yeah, I probably will end up finding time. Like yesterday when I was walking in the streets of Las Vegas. Oh, what else? Yeah, that's what I got for right now. Thank you for those of you that follow me. Thank you for those of you that have listened. Thank you for those of you that are listening today and hadn't listened for a while. Oh, here you go. So let me address this. So the last thing I will talk about is talk about the Big Brother Gossip Show. And this is for those people who still hadn't heard that we weren't doing one this year. I'm going to revisit this. I'm going to go talk about it again. So those of you that have been listening for weeks and know all this, thank you for visiting. Have a good time. Go on to your rest of your day. For those of you that are late to listening to me talk about this or hadn't seen the tweets. So about really, after Big Brother 22, I was just beaten down as far as I wasn't enjoying things. I wasn't enjoying doing the podcast. I wasn't enjoying a lot of things. And last November, December, I was kind of like, I got it. I just can't do the podcast again next year. I can't. But I never told Scott formally. I just waited, and I just because maybe I'd have a change of heart, and I just never did have a change of heart. It just wasn't. We weren't able to do it live last year, and I really enjoyed doing the live part. I liked having the immediate feedback from the people that were listening, and we couldn't do it last year, and we weren't going to do it again this year. And that wasn't the only reason, though. There's lots of reasons. I've been doing this since Big Brother 14. It takes up a lot of time. Just the stress levels have just been, it's just been a lot of stress. And the enjoyment hasn't been there the last couple of years. So I told Scott at this point, about a month and a half ago, that I wasn't going to do it. And I said, whatever you and Colette decide to do, that's your call. I will support you 110%. I am not leaving this podcast, or I am not stopping doing this podcast because I want to do something else podcast-wise. I just can't do this anymore. And it is Scott's baby. That's the other thing that you have to remember, that Scott is the one who came up with the idea for the podcast. I created BigBrotherGossip.com right before Big Brother 8. I had another website which I still have, which is just kind of a face at this time, but ilovereality.com, that I had run since Big Brother 4. I believe it was Big Brother 4. I created that during Big Brother 4, and I kept that, and it's still around, but I kept from Big Brother 4 to Big Brother 7. That was kind of my own little place where I played just me, myself, and I. And then I wanted to expand, and I met Scott online, and I'm like, Scott, I'm going to make this new place called Big Brother Gossip. It's probably going to be snarkier than mine. We can have fun poking fun at the house guests and just kind of, making fun of them. Twitter did not exist. There was no really Facebook. MySpace was out there, but there was no place online other than message boards to talk about Big Brother. And I wanted to, other than websites like that, it's like I want to have my own, and I want to have something where we can write content and make fun of people. And so when we started Big Brother 8, and then around, like I said, Big Brother 14, so even, 5 or 6 years down the road, Scott's like, let's do a podcast. Now, I had been recording little things like this and posting them to MySpace myself, but Scott's thought about doing a weekly podcast, and I said, that's fine. And I think it was a combination of the two of us that are like, what we want to do is we want to play audio clips of what actually happens. We don't want to do the fluffy, the happy recap of the TV show. We want to tell you what's going to happen. We want you to hear what happened. We don't want people to say, oh, that's not what they said. It's like, here's exactly what they said. And so we'd play the audio clips of exactly what people said, which was our big thing, in my opinion, as a podcast. So, but Scott came up with the idea of a podcast, and so that's when we started it. We've had several people on. Obviously, early seasons had a couple different people, but the last many seasons have been just Scott, Colette, and I. So that's the genesis, and that's why it's Scott's baby to decide what he wants to do. If he wanted to keep it on, he could. If he wanted to add somebody else, he could have. That was his choice. And I found out when they announced it on their day drinking podcast, on their day drinking podcast, they announced that they weren't going to do it at all this year. So I found out right at the same time that they put it out there, and I'm like, okay. So that was when the decision was made not to do it at all. So that's how that all came about. And I really feel bad. I felt bad telling Scott. I felt like crap telling Scott. I felt bad for the fans. I really do. I'm still a Big Brother fan. I'm still going to watch it. I'm still going to tweet about it. I'm still going to do these things. I'm still going to do my afternoon drive stuff, which was Periscope, and now it looks like it's going to be YouTube Live. All of those things are still there. I'm just not doing the 3-hour marathon podcasts on Saturdays that really take most of the weekend to prep, more so for Scott than me lately. But, for a while there, it was hardball, me and doing stuff and Scott doing stuff and getting clips. I was still getting occasional clips, but there were still discussions going on. So, yeah, that all is not happening this year. We would have already done the cast preview podcast this past Saturday, and frankly, I wasn't upset that we weren't. It was nice to be out. I was visiting with family. We were out driving. I didn't get home till like 9 o'clock at night. I didn't have to rush home. I didn't have to tell people no, all that kind of stuff. So that's the reason that I'm not doing the Big Brother Gossip show, and then the reason that Scott and Colette are is because they decided after I said I wasn't that they weren't going to either. So that's how it all came about. With that being said, you can always support Scott and Colette through their day drinking podcast. There's links on their sites. I've tweeted it out before, and anyone who wants to can support me. And I did just get a new Patreon patron yesterday. I'm going to pause this for a half a second so I can give her a shout out because I haven't messaged her yet. 1 second. Yes, it is Kimberly. Kimberly is my newest patron. Thank you very much, Kimberly. This is at least one of your shout outs. I'm going to give a shout out to all my patrons again. Unless I get some exorbitant number, like crazy number of patrons, I'm going to try to occasionally give them all the shout out. I think currently I have 12 or 13 patrons. So right now I have no problem running down a list and giving everyone a shout out. And I will do that again in the next couple of days, 3 days, weeks, something like that. If you want to become a patron of my different things, be it my my CarCast or my YouTube lives or my tweets or whatever, if you just want to show me some love and support, you can go to patreon.com/BBGOSSIP. That is me. By the way, I decided yesterday, and I will talk about this more. I mentioned we got married by Elvis. Well, they had a picture package. Guess what? Those picture packages ain't cheap. Like, pretty damn expensive, like $20 for one digital image. And of course, they took a lot of digital images, and we want to get a few. I told my wife, you know what? I'm buying these pictures with my Patreon money. So the whole point I said when I said the Patreon was to buy a glass of wine for my wife, to keep my wife say, this is what, because you have to deal with me, and she does, me talking about Big Brother every summer. I'm going to take the stuff that I make through my patrons and kind of, contribute it towards our mental well-being as a couple. And so these pictures, which I will probably post one or two to my patrons when I get them, don't have them yet, that's what I'm going to probably spend that money on. So anyways, that all being said, thank you so much, everybody, for listening. Thank you to my patrons. Thank you to my other people. Sign up for the live feeds through your favorite Big Brother site. If you go to mine, you can sign up it's free.bigbrotherlivefeeds.com. That link will take you right to a thing, and I get a referral code if you're a new sign-up. If you're returning, we don't get anything because CBS kind of likes to do that to us, but we won't go there right now. That's it. I'm done talking. 17 minutes, not bad. Not one of my longer ones. It'll go longer soon. I'm sure I'm going to have a lot of opinions very soon about these house guests. And that's it. We will talk to you later. I will be tweeting today about it. And everybody be well. And thanks again for listening. Bye-bye.